Wardley versus Fraizer Clarke. Reaction video, face off. So I start by saying that both these guys I like. I've met Fraizer Clarke before. I think I met him just before Joshua was going to fight Klitschko in Sheffield. She walking around. That's actually to Tesco's in Sheffield, and Fraizer Clarke was there with a couple of other Sheffield guys there. I think I was on there for Dennis Hobson show actually. So yeah, and I bumped into Fraizer Clarke. Really nice guy. Really nice guy. I think he comes across at times because he gets, I won't say the word triggered, but annoyed by some of the people, the public. So, but I think that gives a wrong impression of he's actually a nice guy, but sometimes people can get fed up. I understand that. Fabio Wardley, liked him too. I think the first time I really got a hold of Fabio Wardley and I liked him was when he fought the same guy as, who's it Fabio Wardley fought? Somebody else fought. Yeah, the same guy that Richard, whatever the guy's name is. But anyway, the one that gave Dubois his first real fight, and he clipped Dubois. That guy, and the way Wardley got him out of there, I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm liking this Fabio Wardley. There's something about him. He's got something there, and I really kind of liked him. And then when he fought Molina, I liked him even more so. I saw the way he got clipped by Molina and then came flying back. I thought, yeah, this guy's got a bit of heart about him. Then when he fought Adelaide, I was like, yeah, this is good as well. Um, the way he dismantled Adelaide was quite impressive. So now we come to Fraizer Clarke, and I like Fabio Wardley. I don't like the talk of the whole, well, he's come from the white collar background because, you know, some people, yes, how you doing, Anthony? Some people develop faster or better than others. So now Fraizer Clarke's had all his amateur experience, has been all around the world, and usually in fights like this, the guy who's had the amateur pedigree and the Olympic start usually is the guy that goes on and wins against the guy who hasn't had the amateur pedigree. Examples: Lennox Lewis, Gary Mason. Who else? Um, Josh Taylor versus, what's this boy's name, from England. Just got knocked out of a round. I can see his face now as well. Can't remember. The boy from Hackney. I can't remember his name. So those, I can't remember his name again. Ahara Davis. That's it. So those are two examples of where the guy who's been in the Olympics or had the better pedigree wins the fight. Ahara Davis, thank you. Yeah, Ahara Davis. Those are the guys. They usually go on and win the fight because of their pedigree. Now, here's the thing that even, the guys like Audie Harrison, Lennox Lewis, even the way Joe Joyce has gone for his professional career so far, apart from the fight he had against Zhang, let's put the Zhang fight to one side, and even the Cash Ali fight, put that to one side as well, because he's come back after a defeat. But generally, apart from Fraizer Clarke, all them other guys I've mentioned who've come out their amateur ranks, turned into pros, and they've had that pedigree, have gone and blasted their opponents out and looked really good. You can't really tell me that since Fraizer Clarke has turned pro, right, he's looked devastating. He's looked great. He's dispatched of guys. You've gone, yeah. Clarke has got good boxing fundamentals, although he seems to get tagged with the right hand too easily for me. You could say the same thing about Fabio Wardley as well. Um, yes, he's boxed the better opponents as an amateur, but as a pro, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything in Fraser's resume so far. The guys that Fraser's beaten, Wardley could beat them as well. You see, and I don't. And Fraser's not looked great in any of his fights. That the Wack fight, the Allen fight, he's not looked great. Now, that being said, it's the biggest fight of his career, and of course he's going to want to. You'd think as an Olympic guy who's fought in the Olympics and all the amateur pedigree that he's got another gear to go. You'd think, but how much more can Fraizer Clarke improve? I mean, just how good is Fraizer Clarke? I mean, did he stay in the amateurs for too long? Is what we're seeing the best of Fraizer Clarke? Is this the best of Fraizer Clarke we're watching? Because if this is the Fraizer Clarke, and he can't get any better, and he's very one-paced, if that Fraizer Clarke comes out, I actually don't see him beating Wardley. So Clark's going to have to show me something more in this fight. I'm not saying Wardley is great, is the best thing since sliced bread, but he fights with energy and with purpose, and he hasn't had it all his way as a pro. To be honest with you, he's been hurt in fights, nosebleeds, and he's been wobbled in fights. Fraizer, in the other hand, has kind of basically had it his way. Wardley's defense is questionable. When Wardley gets tagged with a shot, and he saw in his fight against Adelaide, his chin is up in the air, he's there to be hit. The thing is, it's all going to depend on two things: how good Fraizer Clarke's chin is when he gets nailed, and what he deals with, how he handles pressure. Those things for me are going to be key for Fraizer Clarke, because there are things Fraizer Clarke has said he didn't necessarily have to be like putting added pressure on himself, like all that nonsense about, oh yeah, he's representing GB, he's representing the amateur thing, the amateur. He's one fighter out there. So Fraizer Clarke is the epitome of British boxing. He's the epitome of British amateur boxing. Really? Really? I don't know about that. Well, I guess the other day it was like, Anthony Joshua, and if he didn't beat Ngannou, like he was holding up the boxing world. So now Fraizer Clarke is holding up the amateur game. If he gets beat by a white collar fighter. Now, if he does get beat by a white collar fighter, what does that say? Does that mean that Fraizer Clarke is the best that the British amateur scene has to offer? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Oh, has Fraizer Clarke moved on from amateur boxing, and has he got another get to as a pro? And the gap he had between the Vac fight and I think it was Vac and Dave Allen, or the Vac fight, and they pulled out negotiations. How much more improvement? Yeah, he did 10 rounds. He did 10 rounds against, was it 10 or 12, against Maris Vac, who's, as far as I was concerned, was retired. Vac had seen better days. So I don't know what Clarke has learned in that time. I don't know if Clarke has even got any better. So I think Wardley is improving with every fight. You can see the improvements in Fabio Wardley, and he looks like he's got a gear or two more to go. The unnecessary pressure that Fraser's put on himself, is that going to catch up with him on fight night? I know he's had all that Olympic box around the world, getting beaten up by, he said was a punching bag for Joshua and all them guys, and now he's come through and feels it's his time. I don't see anything so far in Fraizer Clarke's performances that makes you think, yeah, he's going to destroy Wardley. I just don't see that. I don't see it. He's fundamentally the better boxer, yes. But in terms of productivity and what he has done as a pro, there's no one performance Fraizer Clarke's put, and you've gone, yeah, that's the performance that shows me Fraizer Clarke's a killer. You don't look at Fraizer Clarke in boxing and think Fraizer Clarke's a killer. You think he's consistent, he's decent, but he hasn't had any standout moments. This fight against Wardley is his standout moment. This is his moment where the British public can look up and say, okay, all right, I didn't expect that from you. It's that moment for Fraizer Clarke. But is he good enough? I don't know. And has Fabio Wardley learnt from his fight from Adelaide? And Is he going to tighten up his defense? I expect Wardley to be better. I expect Fraizer to be better. It's one thing going the distance. So even if you go back and look at that Vac fight with him and Vac, he was getting caught when he was coming on in the inside with overhand rights or right hands. He's getting kicked on the inside all the time, Fraizer. There were lots of openings when Fraizer was fighting Vac. And I just think that if he allows himself to be open against shots against Wardley, there's a problem there. So I know people are talking about Wardley's defence, but Fraizer Clarke's defence is not that great either. I don't know. I also don't know if Fraser's fast enough to be able to significantly beat Wardley to the punch. That's the thing. Fraizer Clarke's a good boxer, again, but I don't know his hand speed and foot speed. Is he going to speed all that up? Because like I said, if he comes in like he's coming with previous fights, I don't think that's good enough. And so far, I don't think what Fraizer Clarke's done so far has been good enough. So if he beats Fabio Wardley, with a career best performance, yeah. Otherwise, I see Wardley's hand speed, and I also see the fact that Fraizer does get caught coming in easily against in the Ward fight. So I'm leaning towards Wardley because he is the more experienced pro fighter and has achieved more in the pro game. And Clarke is everything that Clarke is about. Take away Clarke's amateur pedigree, for a second. Just take that away from him for a second. You can't. And I know what you're going to tell me. You can't take it away. Just take it away from us and look at him. Look at Fraizer Clarke, and forget all the amateur pedigree for 1 second. Like, you knew about his amateur pedigree, and then look at him, and then tell me if there's something great in the performance he's put on. If Fraizer keeps his head and boxes, he can win, but Wardley has that killer instinct. That's the thing. There's some things you can't teach, and it's the pressure Fraser's putting himself. That's the thing. I don't know what Clarke aims to achieve as a pro at this stage of his life. But wait, hold on. Who's older, Clarke or Audley Harrison? Who's older turning pro? No. And you know a fight I'd like to see? Clarke versus Joyce. I don't even think today that Clarke can beat Joyce. Today. I think it's like a run back of the amateur days. I don't know, but I wouldn't want to be in Fraizer Clarke's position if he got beat by Wardley, because all the stuff he's talking about, Wardley's amateur career, talk about him white collar fighter, that's not gonna bode well for Clarke if he loses, because he's gonna lose to a guy who's fought nobody and he's a white collar fighter. He's only had a couple of white collar fights against a couple of pubmen. So that stuff could come back and bite Fraizer Clarke. So Fraizer Clarke, I hope all the stuff he's talking there is to put himself under pressure so that he can go out and do well. If Clarke loses, it's pretty much over at championship level. It's over before it's begun. But you know what? In today's era, I'm not so sure, Anthony. I think I'll stick him in as cannon fodder for a world title fight. I'm telling you. Sort of guy you could see, if Wilder ever won a world title again, you could see Fraizer Clarke and Wilder fighting. Don't be surprised. I say that because this world of boxing, you never know. Especially now with Saudi Arabia. You never know who will fight when and how, and redemption and all this sort of stuff in boxing. You just don't know anymore. You really don't know. And in Fabio Wardley, even if he wins, where does he go next? Who does he fight next? If he's good. So first of all, I don't think Fraizer Clarke can beat Ajak Kabayel. And Ajak Kabayel versus Wardley is a fascinating fight. But I think that Ajak Kabayel is a very good fighter. I tell you a fight I wouldn't mind watching: Martin Bakole and Fabio Wardley. I think Bacole's got power, but he's slow and he's got no defense. I think it's a fabulous fight. Yeah, you're true. You never know. He might fight Jake Paul. Yeah, you just don't know. In this world, you don't know. This boxing world, you don't know. So I'm gonna come back in a minute and talk about something else interesting. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Who you picking and why? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Fabio Wardley. I actually am, because I think the way Clark is looking at Fabio Wardley as this white collar fighter, and he didn't really do it, and he seems to have some sort of resentment at the fact that he didn't do it the proper way or through the amateur ranks. He didn't prove himself that way. He doesn't rate Wardley the way he's talking, and it's very difficult to prepare yourself for a man you don't rate, as opposed to being a man that, like in Wardley's case, where he thinks that this guy is his toughest fight of his career. To be honest, Ingram, it's a fight that I'm not excited about. I am. I'm excited about it. I'm excited because it's like, could you imagine if the white collar fighter beats the guy who's travelled around the world as and fought in the Olympics? Could you imagine that? For me, it's a win for unconventional ways of doing things. And I mean, for me, I'm on the side of unconventional because I've been unconventional in my own career as a coach, and it's brought me a lot of success. But now, as I've got older, I've kind of gone back by the book because it, it helps. It gives you structure to things. Let's see. Good fight. Looking forward to it. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments in the comment section. I look forward to hear from you. Take care.